Nick Tremblay and Laird Byron were leaders of a group called the Scald, who were people who began to decay over time. Though Laird would abuse his followers while Nick carried him everywhere. They were doing their usual routine of doing this while Blake Langerman watched them from a tree after having fallen off a bridge and landing in said tree. Nick first saw Blake after he had been punched into their area, and Laird began shooting arrows at him. Blake managed to escape, but Nick and Laird caught him after he crawled out of a cave. Laird cut his hand and began to feed his blood to Blake. He assumed Blake to be the Scald Messiah, and Nick hammered nails into Blake's palms on a cross of wood in order to crucify him. They even stole Blake's camera and placed it in a house before chasing more of their followers. They headed back to the camp to check on Blake, only to see him gone. Blake watched from over a cliff as they headed to the camp to ask what happened to him, and the Scald pointed in the direction Blake went. Laird began shooting arrows on top of a cliff while scaring off his followers, and also while Blake dunked himself in a lake, but then they eventually left. They later found Blake after he crashed through a fence, and Nick threw him into a coffin to bury him alive. Nick did a very terrible job at burying the coffin, and they had to chase Blake after he escaped and grabbed a rope. They chased him back to a tower and tried to stop him, but Nick and Laird were betrayed by their followers and were pushed out of the tower to the ground, killing them both. And yeah, that's basically it for Nick and Laird. Yeah, they have a really small role in the game, and yes, Laird actually did abuse the Scald, because I was told there's actually hints of even some of the documents that you can collect actually have hints of Laird abusing his followers. Like, I'm not really sure. Does Laird abuse Nick the same way he abuses the rest of the Scald? Because considering that Nick has to carry Laird everywhere, because I think he has like his legs cut off or something, or he just can't walk on his own, and that's why he has to have Nick carry him everywhere. But yeah, jeez, it's like those. I swear the Scald were smart. But I mean that is actually kind of smart. I mean, even though yes, they did betray their leader, it's like, I mean, if he's abusing you, then fuck yeah, push that motherfucker to his death. But yeah, even though Blake survives the fall, that Nick and Laird didn't. But yep, that's basically it. And next week will be the last episode of just the miscellaneous characters. So please like, sub, and peace.